Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by today. And today I have a very fun project to share with you guys. I created some primitive hearts. They're kind of in a grungy, vintage, shabby, chic kind of style. I really love how they turned out. And today I am using products from AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. Kim has a beautiful store where she sells all sorts of wonderful things that we can use in our projects, from laces and trims, doilies, appliques, bling, flowers, paper, which I love. And of course I love playing with paper and lace. So this project is definitely in my wheelhouse. And I did want to show you a couple of the supplies that I use on today's project that Kim carries in her store. So she does have all sorts of wonderful glass cabochons, and here I have kind of more of a shabby chic one, and then also a vintage lady one. Kim does carry all sorts of fun bling in her store, and so here's one of the pieces that she has. And then currently, when I'm filming this, she does have a really fun one that has the rhinestones on the outside and pink in the middle, which is one of my favorite blings that she has in her store. And so that one would work perfect also for today's project if you wanted to do something similar. Kim also sells charms in her store, and here are a couple of the angel charms. I did use one of those on today's project. Then these are really fun too. They're little perfume bottles with the number 5 on them, and she has them in pink and white. And so I did also use one of those on today's project. And the main paper that I use for today is La Vie en Rose. Kim does carry a number of different papers in her store, and this is one of them. It's a 6x6 paper pad, and it only, and it has 12 different designs, and you get 2 sheets of everything. And then I use a number of different laces and trims and flowers that came from her store. I did use a flower similar to this one in 2 different colors. This one and then also this one, which is a little bit more of a vintage color. And I used a bit of this trim, and I did tea dye this trim, so it normally is white. I used the top of this beautiful dangle trim. Kim does sell all sorts of wonderful trim in her store, and I just used the bit off of the top. Also, all sorts of fun little cotton laces in her store. And so this one, as you can see, I cut out some of the flowers on this one and used it on today's project that I'm sharing with you guys. I used just a small snippet off of this trim. I also had some remnants left over from a past project from the doily, and it was just mainly this part right here in the middle. And so I did use some of those pieces on today's project. Kim also sells very fun tulle trim, and there's 2 layers of tulle. And so for today's project, I do have one of them that I use pink on, and then one that I also use this beautiful cream or vintage colored white. Also use some Venice trim, and this is gorgeous, gorgeous trim. I love this trim. I used a little bit of that. I think mainly I use this piece here just because I had some leftover from the last project I did, and so I just had that snippet and I wanted to use that on this project. Here's an insertion lace where normally you would like insert or weave in and out another piece of ribbon in the middle of this, and what I chose to do is just cut this lace down the middle, and I used just pieces off of the side. I also used a piece of this beautiful dangle trim, and I know that she does have this still in stock in her store right now. And a couple more cotton trims that I used. This one has the flowers in it that are fun to cut up and use. And then also this one I cut up and used one of these larger flowers from this trim also on today's project. And I do have links in the description box below, so if you do open up that description box, I have links for Kim's shop. I have links for her Instagram account, where you do get to see photos of design team members' projects, along with news about upcoming sales and events for her store. Also, sneak peeks at products, so it's definitely worth subscribing to her Instagram account. I also have links for the other ladies who are participating on her design team, and they are constantly inspiring me with their projects. So if you haven't checked out their channels, I definitely recommend it. And then also wanted to let you know that in Kim's shop, if you do live in the US and you order from her shop, she does offer free shipping if you spend $35 or more. So it's a great deal. So now to share the primitive hearts that I created with you guys. Again, I kind of created them in kind of a grungy, vintage, shabby style. And I did do a little bit of mixed media on them to create them. On all of them, I do have some of that beautiful paper collection that Kim carries in her store on the backside. And also the top heart has that same paper in them. I constructed them all exactly the same way. So they all started off with a piece of corrugated cardboard that I painted using acrylic paint in a couple different colors. They all have some stickles on them. I also added some Tim Holtz inks in a couple different colors. Tea dye or vintage photo, I think, is a color I use. And then also mahogany. And I just kind of grunged them up a little bit. And they all have eyelash trim on them. I used eyelets at the top. They all have either seam binding, which Kim does carry in her store. She also has some other types of ribbons in her store. And they all have, like I said, eyelets through them. You could definitely do this project without the eyelets or making them into like an ornament type thing. And you can instead use them as a base or adding them to a card or a box. Or if you're decorating some sort of packaging, they'd be really fun to add to packaging. They are perfect for Valentine's Day. And I also even thinking ahead for Mother's Day. They would be really cute on something made for Mother's Day. And then getting back to this particular heart, you can see I added some of that cotton, one of the cotton flower trims, layered up a flower on top, added some bead trims, and there's also a couple more layers of some of her dangle laces underneath here, just to add a little bit more pizzazz to it. I really love how that turned out, and for me, the more layers, the better, so I love layering stuff on top of these hearts. Here's another fun one. This one instead I added bead trim up at the top, and I used a different cotton lace with the flower and also a dangle trim on this one. Of course, you can see the pretty paper collection on the front and the back. And then this one, I used one of her glass cabochons, and then I had this little gold metal piece in my stash that the cabochon fit into, so I went ahead and added that. So that one was pretty quick and easy. Of course, there is some eyelash trim and also some cheesecloth in there too also. And this is another one that I love to share with you guys. This one instead I chose to use some delicate pink lace up at the top. And some of the tulle trim in pink, that insertion lace, one of the Venetian laces. And I added some flat back pearls. This one also has some tulle sticking outside of it. One of her pretty cotton trims that I cut up with the flower. Again, added one of the shabby chic cabochons in the middle. And this one I also added the beautiful little angel charm to it. Here is another fun one. This was actually the very first one I made out of all of the hearts. This was my first kind of prototype one that I made. And again, on the back side, you see some of the pretty paper. In the front, I added the cream colored tulle to this one. And this one, you can see some pieces of the doily hanging off of the side. Also, the doilies, one of her doily kits that she had connector pieces in it. So you see that one behind the cabochon, some more eyelash trim. And then this one, I added the beautiful vintage lady cabochon to the top, which I just love. Another one of the flowers from her shop with some cheesecloth behind it and some more bead trim hanging from it. And then also I added this word love and gratitude. And a while back in one of my design team packages, Kim had included some music paper, some vintage music paper that she sells in her store. And the word love and gratitude were on there. So I had cut that out of that paper and then just layered it again on top of some of the scraps from this paper collection. But I love how that one turned out. And here is another beautiful one. And again, the paper on the back side and the front. This one I used some other kind of delicate looking lace. Again, constructed it the same way. This one you can see some of the doily here. There's also a piece of one of the dangle trims, that one with the leaves on it. I just used a little bit of the top right there. And I added some flat back pearls. This one again has some more of the beautiful dangle lace. And it has several layers of some of those cotton trims layered on top of there. The little flower one up at the top is probably the easiest one to see. Also ribbon roses that Kim carries in her shop. There's more eyelash trim. You can see another doily sticking out on the side there. So a little bit of layering up in that corner. But this one I left relatively simple just so you could see the paper, because I just love that paper. It was so pretty with the roses. And then just the hint of the lace, and then like an old like ledger type paper over there on the side. So I wanted some of the paper to show on that one. And then the last one I wanted to show you guys, for those of you who maybe don't like as much layering and as much stuff on your hearts, that you could definitely make these with a fewer products and have a little bit more clean and simple look. But again, I started off with the same construction with the beautiful paper on the corrugated paper, painting it in the layers of burlap. This one I did add eyelash trim just because I'm a huge fan of eyelash trim. And this one I chose to use some seam binding. I used a little piece of an applique that came off of one of the appliques in Kim's shop. And then also I hung a piece of bling from Kim's shop with the little heart rhinestones and added a couple of pearls at the bottom. So this one has a little bit more of a clean and simple look. And these ones have the lots of layers on them. I had a ton of fun creating these, so thank you guys so much for watching. And again, if you open up the description box, I do have links for everything that I mentioned earlier. And until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.